You have said that this is the dawn of a new era in gun control. There are now two House-passed pieces of gun legislation sitting on the doorstep of the Senate. How will this era be different?
No one can predict with certainty, Jeff, as you know from having covered the Hill for a long time. But this time really feels different because of the activists and advocates like Tom Sullivan and the other survivors around this country who've come forward with such grace and strength and courage. And they have helped to form a new political movement, which is the reason that we now have a president committed passionately to common sense constitutional action on gun violence prevention. It's why we have majorities in both houses of Congress that ran on this issue. They didn't hide it. They didn't respond to questions. They made it a positive issue. And we will have votes. So my Republican colleagues are going to have to put themselves on the record, and then they're going to have to answer to the 90% or more of their constituents, including a majority of Republicans, who favor these measures. And they know in their hearts, we can save lives. That shooter in Boulder was a deeply disturbed young man who walked into a grocery store and killed with the speed and efficiency and cruelty of a combat-style weapon because he had it, and a risk warrant order might have separated him from it. A background check might have detected some ineligibility, and safe storage would save children who are the victims of accidents as a result of unsafely stored laws. These incidents are happening in their communities. None is immune. And that's why I think we may well be at the dawn of a new era.
Yeah. And one of the things that's different about this era, it strikes me that the NRA, that big gun lobby, doesn't appear to be as powerful as it once was. It's under investigation. It's filed for bankruptcy protection. Does that change the dynamic in Washington at all?
Absolutely, Jeff. That's a really important point. The gun lobby used to have Congress in a kind of vice-like grip through political contribution, through the mass mailings that they did. Now that gun lobby, the principal organization, the NRA, has declared bankruptcy in New York. That's financial insolvency, but it's also, in a sense, I think, a realization of moral bankruptcy. And we know that the record in Connecticut and states like Colorado and others where common sense measures have been adopted is that lives have been saved. There's proof on the record. But even in Connecticut, with some of the strongest laws, we're at the mercy of states with some of the weakest. And so we have beaten back the NRA. It is on its heels. But we need to now move forward in the Congress and convince colleagues that the political dynamic here is in favor of their being on the right side of history.
When it comes to convincing your colleagues, you've got Joe Manchin, Democrat from West Virginia. He said yesterday he opposes the House bill on background checks. So how do you get Republican support if Democrats aren't unified on this?
The Democrats, I think, will be unified. But the question really is, what will Republicans do when they are put on the record? Because they're going to be held accountable. And these nightmarish massacres are only 10 or a fraction of the deaths, the 100 deaths that occur every day in communities all around the country, in Hartford or New Haven or elsewhere. My colleagues will have to answer to their constituents. And these deaths are stunning, savage, shocking, but tragically predictable, unsurprising, because Congress has been complicit, and there is a moral imperative as well as a political dynamic here.
In the minutes that we have left, I want to give you a chance to respond to what Senator Ted Cruz said to you yesterday during a hearing. Let's take a look at what he had to say.
Senator from Connecticut just said, it's time for us to do something. I agree. It is time for us to do something. And every time there's a shooting, we play this ridiculous theater where this committee gets together and proposes a bunch of laws that would do nothing to stop these murders.
Ridiculous theater, so says the senator from Texas. This, though, appears to be the go-to argument for a number of Republicans. What's your response to that?
What's theater, Jeff, is offering thoughts and prayers, and I believe in thoughts and prayers, but then blocking action, as Senator Cruz has done, or saying he thinks there ought to be action, and then actually making proposals that weaken the law, as he has done. You know, I think sometimes about John F. Kennedy's inaugural speech that he closed by saying, "Let us lead the land we love," asking his blessing and his help, but knowing here on earth, God's work must truly be our own. We can save lives, but it demands action, and they're common sense steps. Expanding and improving background checks, risk warrants that separate people from guns when they say they're going to kill themselves or others, as happened in Parkland, as happens every day with 50 or more suicides. These kinds of common sense measures are the answer to Ted Cruz.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.